Welcome to our work through the book of Qoheleth from the wisdom literature. You are on Hebrew Literacy channel, and you're very welcome here. If you're new, please subscribe and ring that bell and click like if you like the video. This is an outgrowth from congregation Simchat Hashem in the Philippines. So we are going to be doing auditory learning and visual learning tonight from the book of Qoheleth, continuing our work. We are in chapter 3, and today we'll be covering verse 11 and 12. 11's pretty long. If you're watching, at the bottom you'll notice I have a legend, different colored signs we have today. So red is representing definiteness. So for example, we have a definite article, ha, right? So, oops, I should have made that part red also. Oh well. And the definite direct object marker, et. Yep. So asher, which is of course the relative pronoun, as well as any of the suffixes, pronominal suffixes at the end of words, they will also be marked. I've and teal marks it, and we don't have any construct chains today, so because of that, I decided to mark the construct nouns. You put a noun in the construct form before you put the suffix ending on it. Prepositions are orange. Conjunctions are green. The person of a verb we have expressed as kind of a tealish, maybe that's more like a light blue color. And then the sense signs, which we don't really discuss too much, but they're there. I decided to colorize those kind of a maroon color. Okay. Oops. You know well. Doing my best. All right. So let's go ahead and scan. Oh, let's pray first. נותן יהי רצון, כי כל אשר אנחנו עושים עכשיו יהיה טוב בעיניך. תעזר נא את כל תלמידי, אדוני. תשלח נא ברכות משמיים ממעל. אנחנו רוצים רק ללמוד טוב בעיניך. כל הדברים בזכות ישוע HaMashiach. All right, so let's go ahead and scan verse 11. Okay, sorry, I thought I was recording. I wasn't. So I'm not sure if I scanned the verse with you or not. So we'll scan it one more time. Et hakol asah Yafeh בעתו גם את העולם natan blibam מבלי אשר לא ימצא האדם את המעשה אשר עשה האלוהים מראש ועד סוף. Kind of a long verse. Now the first thing you might notice is the first verb is asah. He did or he made, right? Or does, makes. And the definite direct object, the DDO marker, is coming before the verb. Now when that happens, that implies emphasis. So we usually use magenta. This is the best I can do with this tool right now. That implies some special emphasis. So everything, et hakol, everything. Asah, asah, ayin sin hey. Everything, asah, he did. Yafeh, Yafeh. Now, Yafeh, you might have known this word, you might have learned it, or Yofyota, or some other variation, as beautiful. And it does mean beautiful. But there's kind of another nuance that's happening here. You might have noticed, some of you, sometimes you give me an answer, either like now in the live teaching, or in a comment form, and I might say Yofi. Yofi is from this Yafeh. Yofi, like beautiful. I'm not saying that the answer had some kind of pleasing on the eye value to it, right? But instead, it's correct. It's well done. It's well done. And this is what's happening here adverbially. We have Yafeh being used adverbially. So how did he do it? Everything, et hakol, everything that he did, et hakol, asah, he did Yafeh, correctly. Okay, continuing. So et hakol asah Yafeh. Everything, special emphasis, he did Yafeh, correctly. Excuse me. Ve'ito. Ve is in. Eit, ayin tav. This is from eit, which is time or season, of it, in its time, in its season. Everything he did correctly in its season. Ve'eit, gam, also. Now you don't have to be hyperliteral with also. Sometimes the also it's just a way of emphasizing the text, okay? Also, et ha-olam. Gam, also et ha-olam. So we have another et here, which is again, we are preceding a verb. So we've got some more emphasis. Also, or indeed, et ha-olam. Ayin lamed mem, spelled defectively, meaning they didn't write the vav there, the ancient cholam waw. Olam, or olam, means eternity. Eternity. And there is some debate among scholars. There's lots of attempts to try to find different meanings for this. One thing that came to my mind is maybe it's mispointed. It's from the word for secrecy or something, or maybe even a form of youth or hiddenness or something. But it feels like it should just be eternity, right? Some scholars, they want to go with the meaning of world, right? Or universe, which is not found in the Bible. This is a post-biblical Hebrew interpretation, right? And I checked out all these things and I researched, and Seo actually goes through quite a bunch of the possibilities that various scholars to that time have proposed. And he also comes down with, let's just keep it as eternity, because we have the olam several places in Qoheleth for eternity, forever. And if we make it one of those other meanings, then we might end up with a hapax, something that's only in the Bible one time. And so there's really not enough and it doesn't improve the meaning of the text, right? So let's just keep it simple and keep it with the eternity, but you can be mindful of the fact that it might be another word here, another meaning. Darkness, I believe, is one of the possibilities from cognates, right? So, all right. But I don't think it's darkness, because this is going to make like God's putting darkness in people's hearts, and I don't like that. Why can't it erase? That's so annoying. Okay. So we have the object, et ha'olam, the eternity, natan, nud, nun, tav, nun. That's he gave, or he set, he placed. Blibam, in the lev of in the levav, in the heart of of them, in their heart. And there are other manuscripts that say belibo, in his heart, but we're going with the main Masorah text. Mibli, asher. So mibli, it's a contraction of min, which is from, and that's why we have the dagesh in the bait, and beli, which is like without. Although you have to be more dynamic with it in Hebrew. It can have more meanings than just without. Asher, which, Aleph Shin Resh, that's the relative pronoun, and that is why it is yellow. Right? Remember, yellow are for pronouns, okay? Whether they be pronominal suffixes like blibam, or just a pronoun standing by itself. Who, he, ani, nachnu, anachnu, hem, hen, or in this case, asher. Asher, which, or who, that which. So except, mibli asher reads to me like that which, except for that which, lo, not, yimtza, yimtza. So yod is he, or it, mem, tzadi, aleph is found. So except for that which is not found, ha'adam, the man or humankind, et, hamaaseh. So et, ham, the maaseh, the work or what was produced. Asher, aleph shin resh, which asah, ayin sin hey, he did or he made. And here we have the normal order, verb followed by subject. The subject is ha Elohim, the God, that which the God made. Meirosh. So again, that's min. Min became me. Me from rosh, from head. Ve'ad, and ad, and until sof. Sof is the end, right? Is end. Like one of the names of God in Yiddish is the Ein Sof, the one who's without end. And or even this sign here. See this symbol here at the end? It looks kind of like a colon in English. Sorry if you're just listening. You can imagine it. That's called the Sof Pasuk, the end of the verse marker. All right, let's go through that again and see if we can make some more sense out of it. Et hakol, everything. Asah Yafeh, ve'ito, he has done correctly or possibly beautifully. In it, time of him, in his time, in its time. Gam et olam, also the eternity. Olam, the eternity. Natan, he has set, he has placed. Belibam, in heart of them, in their hearts. Mibli asher lo yimetza ha'adam. So probably ha'adam here is the subject of the yimsa. I don't have the color I usually use for that available right now, but I'll just put a V for verb and S for subject, right? That's the normal order in biblical Hebrew anyway. We have the subject up to the verb. So yimsa, he will find, or he finds, or he will find. And the subject, ha'adam, the man. So like mankind. So it looks like this, mibli asher, is like, so that, or even that, not which, lo yimsa, a double negative, he will find man. So that mankind will not find, is what that feels like to me. Even though it's kind of garbled in the Hebrew, at least in this form. Et hamaaseh. There, fix it, it has red. Et ham, the ma'aseh, the work, the result of the work, the handiwork. Oftentimes you see ma'aseh yadayim, the work of the hands. Asher, which asah ha-Elohim, which God has done. Meirosh, from the head, from head. Ve'ad sof, and until end. Any questions? How are you guys doing in the live chat? Remember, if you missed our live chat, you can also ask questions in the comments down below. Or you can also join us on our Telegraph channel, Telegraph, which is t.me/Hebrew literacy. T.me, like me, /Hebrew literacy. That will land you in the admin screening area. So someone will talk to you just to get to know you briefly and then add you to the main room where we have many people who are also students. So it's a kind of a nice growing community Now that particular room, even though, I have my particular sect, that particular room is non-sectarian. All right, so as long as you believe in the God of Israel, you are welcome there. So that includes Christians and various dominations of Christianity as well. Okay. On Yafeh, I would like to mention that Rabbi Dr. Michael Fox comments that Yafeh is like accordingly, or appropriately rather. And he points out that everything which God has made, even when death happens, it is Yafeh when it's a appropriate time, right? Like the time that we would expect to see it. So let's take a look at Ben Sirach. This is Yeshua Ben Sirach, also known as just Sirach, chapter 39, verse 34, as pointed out by Rabbi Fox as a nice parallel verse. It says, Alemo zera mezeh, ki hakol בעתו יגביר. Al lemo. Do not say zer'am mezeh. This is worse than this, or more evil. Ki hakol, because the everything, be, in, it, time of, in its time, or in its season, yagvir, dominates. So meaning there's a time for it to be prevalent. That's Yeshua ben Sirach, chapter 39, verse 34. Okay, I just decided to wipe the slide clean. Okay, let's continue with verse 12. Let's just scan it. Yadati ki ein tov bam ki im lismo'ach ve'la'asot tov v'chayav. By the way, in case you're a visual learner, if you saw the gray markings, I'm just doing these to highlight forms of the verb, okay? So verse 12, Yadati, know I, yod dalet ayin for the auditory learners. Know, and then ti, when you have ti at the end of a verb, that means I. The person is first person singular. I know, ki, that, ein tov, ein, aleph yod nun, ein. There is not tov, good, bam, beit, mem. Beit is in them. There is not good in them. Now we have a couple of manuscripts that instead of bam say be'adam, like among man, like among humankind. The Rashbam says that the bam here, it's not referring back to like the things that happen, but it's also referring back to mankind in general as well. So either way, whichever manuscript is right, whether it's bam or be'adam, the meaning still is the same. Yadati ki ein tov bam. I know that there is no good in them, in humanity. Although it could be referring to those things that happen, right? It could actually be referring to the things where everything yagvir, everything dominates in its own season, like war or etc. If Hashem's hand is in it, right? Then that would mean that there's not good or evil. It's just something that is. All right, continue on. Ki im lismo'ach. So ki, now, im, aleph mem, if, li, to, samoach. This is an infinitive, to be happy, to samach, like we say, chag sameach, happy chag, happy holiday, right? Ki im, for if, lismoach, it is for joy, for being happy. Tov, good, bechayav. Be is in, chayav is in the chayim, the life of him, in his life. All right, let's go through that one again. Yadati, I know. or it could be I noticed, I know, ki ein tov bam, that there's nothing good in them. And then ki im, instead of like literally, like then, if, can also mean like this is a comparative, like there's nothing better than lismo'ach, than to be happy. Oops, I missed a verb before, sorry. I was so zoomed in. Ve'la'asot, and to do. Ve'la'asot. Ve is vav, is a conjunction, and the lamid la is to. Ve'asot, from the verb asah, the hey went away and we have ot in the end. This is infinitive. So ve'la'asot, and to do, well, that clarifies it when we didn't delete a word. Tov, good, ve'chayav, in his life. It's interesting that we have bam up here, and as I said, there are two manuscripts that actually have bo, right? And then here we actually have chayav, which would match if it was bo. So it's interesting. We'll stick with the more difficult reading, though. Any comments or questions? How are you guys doing? All right, let's do 11 and 12 again. If you feel like you nailed it as a visual learner, then maybe it's time to close your eyes and just listen and try to employ your auditory skills. Et hakol asah Yafeh ve'ito. Et hakol, everything. Asah, he made, this is God, Yafeh, appropriately or beautifully, ve'ito, in the time of it, in its season, in its time. Gam et olam natan blibam. Gam, also, et ha'olam, with emphasis, the eternity, natan, he has placed, blibam, in their minds, or in their hearts, in the levav of am, mibli asher, so that not really, or literally from not, it's kind of hard to translate believe sometimes in English, so literally from not, or so that not, asher, that which, lo yimtzah ha'adam, that man will not find, he will not discover, et hamaaseh, the handiwork, asher asah ha'Elohim, which God has done, meirosh, from beginning, ve'ad, and until, sof, end. So the idea being that God has made everything perfectly, right? Yafeh, he's done it. Everything is appropriately. That things happen in due season. There's a time for birth and a time for death, a time for planting and a time for rooting out that which has been planted. The things we went through earlier, right? The very famous thing. Meaning, on a cosmic scale, there are times for things to happen. There are plans for things to happen. Now, before the Calvinists get too happy, this isn't just saying that there's predestination for everything. But it's saying that there is a mechanism, a framework in God's nature, which things are supposed to happen. No one's supposed to live now till 1,000 years. Not in this life, right? That would be unnatural. So God can establish the frameworks, he can establish the tilt of the Earth's axis and the orbit so that there are seasons, there's a 24-hour day, the moon moves in a predictable orbit, all these sorts of things without having predestination, full-on predestination, right? Without having it so that everything is predetermined. He decided who will sin, for example, that kind of stuff. So it feels to me this is more about the framework of things, right? The times we've been talking, there's times for this, there's a season for this. There's a season even on a micro level within our lives when these things happen. And guess what? Mibli asher lo yimtzah adam et hamaaseh asher asah Elohim meirosh ve'ad sof. It's not even possible for humans to discover the handiwork or the way in which God has worked from the beginning to the end, right? The very beginnings, we were so interested, Big Bang, not Big Bang, cyclical Big Bang, all these sorts of things. And the very ends, but it's not something that we will find. Because it says, mibli asher lo yimetza. We won't find Adam, the man. Won't find it out. Verse 12, Yadati Ki ein tov bam. I know, or I noticed, I discovered perhaps, ki, that ein, there is not, tov, good, bam, in them, or possibly bo. Septuagint says ein autais, which supports bam actually. If it was bo, it'd be ein auto, with a subscripted iota. Ki im lismo'ach, except for, except is better there for the ki im. Ki im. This can mean a lot of things syntactically when you get ki and im together like that. Except for lismo'ach, to be happy. Ve, and la'asot, and to do tov, goodness. Bechayav, in his life. Meaning man's life. There's nothing better than to be happy and to do good things. I think that be happy doesn't mean that that's the pursuit, right? Those two are kind of axiomatically combined. True happiness, true joy, true satisfaction is not the fleeting moment of a given urge, but from the process of la'asot tov, doing good, keeping the mitzvot, obeying the Creator, speaking in His love language with the actions of our life, the avodah, the way that we serve Him, because service is true worship. All right, let's go through them both again. This time, I won't give you most of the translations. If I feel like something might be tough, I'll chime it in. Do your best to try to provide the answers in English or in your language before I say them, or I might not even say them, okay? Qoheleth, Ecclesiastes, Hebrew chapter 3, verse 11 and 12. Et hakol asah Yafeh בעתו. גם את העולם natan blibam. מבלי אשר לא ימצא האדם את המעשה אשר עשה האלוהים מראש ועד סוף. Verse 12. ידעתי כי אין טוב בם, כי אם lismo'ach ולעשות טוב בחייו. Okay, let's do it again, this time a little bit faster. את הכל עשה יפה בעתו, גם את העולם נתן בליבם, מבלי אשר לא ימצא האדם את המעשה אשר עשה האלוהים מראש ועד סוף. 12. ידעתי כי אין טוב בם, or possibly בו, כי אם lismo'ach ולעשות טוב בחייו. Last time through. את הכל עשה יפה בעתו, גם את העולם נתן בליבם, מבלי אשר לא ימצא האדם את המעשה אשר עשה האלוהים מראש ועד סוף. ידעתי כי אין טוב בם, כי אם lismo'ach ולעשות טוב בחייו. How'd you guys do? It is wisdom literature, so it's a bit more difficult than normal literary passages. Hope you're enjoying what we're doing here. Special thanks to my patrons, those of you who provide monthly support for what we do. You make this possible. May Adonai bless you many times over. And for those of you who pray for us, may He also bless you many times. May your hearts be filled with praise and shalom, and may you fall in love with Lashon HaKodesh, as well as HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I will see you guys on Shabbat for our 2-hour Hebrew heavy drash in the ancient triennial Torah portion, currently in the book of Devarim. Be well and be blessed, and keep up with your Hebrew. Shalom, shalom.